Hello, everyone. Welcome to Word Wednesday. So, whether you're about to be joining us live or you'll be listening in later, my name is Geoffrey Nance. Dave Huber has been doing this for a bit now, but he's traveling. So, I am back on this segment for at least today and thought we would talk about a topic that most of you would find very appropriate. It's a word that you probably heard many times. We're going to talk about love today, and I actually want to talk a little bit about a book by Gary Chapman. It's called The Five Love Languages. Now, this is an older book. I read it way back in the day, so it's quite old. But I haven't heard much about it recently, and I wanted to bring back some of the elements that he touches on in this book because I think they're very powerful. So the book is called the Five Love Languages, and I wanted to briefly touch on what these five love languages are, and then how that tends to impact us as both the giver and the receiver. And then we're going to talk about what hinders us from maybe loving better than we actually are. And so I'm going to tell you what I think the biggest hindrance to truly being able to love anybody is. And we'll talk about that. But let's talk about these five love languages first. So the five love languages, as defined by Gary Chapman in his book. One, words of affirmation. All right. So this is pretty straightforward. Everybody likes to hear good things about themselves. I was reading another book, quote in there by Benjamin Franklin says, "I'll speak ill of no man and all the good I can of everyone I meet." Now, that's a lofty standard, guys. It's very easy for us to spot things in people that we don't like, focus on those things, but to speak ill of no man and then all the good I can of everyone I meet, all the good I can. So is that true? Is that would you say that's true in your relationship, that you're speaking all the good that you can? So you're actively going around looking for positive, good things to say about the people that you love. And even really, if you wanted to take it a step much further, even people that you would say you don't necessarily love. But most people focus on themselves, and we'll come back to this idea later because I think this is the actual biggest hindrance to us being able to love anybody the way that we would maybe like to, or love better than we have been. So words of affirmation. Now, guys, this isn't talking about flattery. This is talking about real truth. Like, hey, you are doing great in this area. Hey, I saw you do this. Hey, this part of your character is really incredible. Like, the fact that you were willing to speak the truth, the fact that you were willing to, do these things, those types of things. So speaking the truth, but giving people encouragement, affirmation, words of affirmation. Number two, quality time. Quality time. Now, some people have said that quality equals quantity. Now, the reality is there's some sense where both are necessary, right? You can say, well, we spent 3 quality minutes together today. Sadly enough, they say that for a lot of couples, that's actually more time than most people actually do spend really talking to each other and being with each other in a given day, which is ridiculously sad. But no, it's quantity. Sure, we need to spend time together. We need to make time just for each other. Life can be busy, especially if you have kids. It can be busy. We need to spend time together. We need quality time together. Physical touch. This is everything you would think about. It is physical touch. Anything that would help. Just that desire for physical touch. That's number 3 there. Number 4 is acts of service. And this is actively going around doing things that the other person would need to do. So in other words, say it's at the house, you're actively you're doing things. You say, here's what stuff my wife would normally do, like the dishes. Well, let me go do them. How often? Well, as often as I could. What if I could, basically take that off her plate, or at least drastically reduce the amount of time she had to do it? And then, all kinds of other stuff. Just what are ways that you could serve your spouse? And then number 5, receiving gifts. Now, some people are gift givers. I talked a few weeks ago. My mom is a gift giver. That is certainly the way that she tries to express love, no doubt about it. Now, as I've walked through these 5 things, I want you to understand, guys, that most of us are going to have 1 or 2 of these that are much stronger personally than the others. You might say, well, for me, receiving gifts, it's fine. It's cool. I like it. If you do things for me, that's cool too. But, the physical touch, that's a big deal. That's my thing. Oh, the words of affirmation. Yeah, that's a big deal. Now, here's the thing. And most people don't get this, and then therefore they have some issues really with connecting and not understanding why the other person isn't feeling love. Because most of us try to give love the way that we receive love. So in other words, if my love language is physical touch, and then I try to assume that my wife wants to receive that same love language, and hers is not that at all, and I keep trying to do things to show her from a physical touch perspective that I'm trying to love her, and I can't understand why she's not receiving it that way, it's because that's not her love language. So even though it's natural for us to say, well, this is my love language, this is the way I receive it, so now I'm going to give it that way, what we have to understand is that's not often how the other person actually receives love. So we have to be aware of how other people receive love and make sure that we give that to them. Now, 1 Corinthians 13 is something I proposed to my wife with. Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. I'm going to pause there for a bit, guys. This idea of self-seeking is probably the biggest hindrance that any of us truly have in loving somebody, okay? Because in general, we are selfish people. So therefore, if they don't give me physical touch, then I'm not going to do acts of service. What? Love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It is not rude. It is not self-seeking. Sounds very self-seeking. I used to do quite a bit of counseling, and that was one of the issues I'd have is people would say, well, I'm mad at them, so I stopped doing this. Guess what? That didn't make the situation better. So they intentionally stopped doing something that the other person wanted because they were mad at them, so they withheld. Well, that's extremely selfish, and it doesn't make things better. It creates a divide. It makes things worse. So love is not self-seeking. We have to understand that if we want to truly love somebody else, we have to start to think about what they actually need. What do they actually desire? How can I express love to them in a way that they'll receive it in a meaningful way that would really touch and impact them? And it can't be self-seeking. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It does not keep a record of wrongs. Some of you guys out there, if you're thinking about it, you're like, yeah, I do that. And when we get into an argument, I'll bring up some things that happened a couple of weeks ago. I do that. Now, I don't do that because I've understood a long time ago that was pretty dumb. right? If you say you've forgiven somebody of something, then you don't bring it back up later, because that's not how forgiveness works. But it keeps no record of wrongs, guys. If you're keeping a record of wrongs, then you really haven't let that thing go. And therefore, if you're following 1 Corinthians 13 there, then that is not a loving act. If you're holding this record of wrongs, then you're not loving that person. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Now, you might be thinking, oh, well, I don't like when evil things happen. But are you a withholder? When things don't go your way, do you sit there and say, well, I'm intentionally not going to do something you like? Again, that comes back to being selfish. And that passage, 1 Corinthians 13, tells us a lot of stuff, and it's easy to gloss over that and miss out on some very critical elements that would really help us when it comes to loving one another. My wife and I are going to be married 20 years here in February. And one of the things that I've really been trying to work on is to realize, you know what? We've been married 20 years. We've done some things really well. I've been trying to get better over the last several years, and I've made some pretty good improvements. But I told her a few days ago, I was like, if we get to spend 20 more years together, I want them to be better. I want to be better. I want to be more loving. I want you to feel more love than you have been. I want you to feel more cherished than you have been. And that's about me, guys. It's about me not being selfish. It's about me doing those things, looking for ways to truly express love in a way that resonates with her. And that's about thinking about her. I think we spend so little time actually thinking about other people because we spend so much time thinking about ourselves. How do I get what I want? Why are they not doing what I want them to do? Why will they not do things my way? It's all about us. It's all about us. If you read through that passage again, you'll notice that it's not supposed to be about me. If it's about me, then I won't be able to fulfill all those things. So I want to encourage you guys today to really evaluate how am I expressing love to those around me? Am I doing it in a way that they receive it? Am I doing it from a selfishly motivated perspective? Or am I truly doing it in such a way that really is about the other person, trying to show them love in a way that they receive it so that they would be blessed by it and know that I am truly loving them? Well, I hope this was helpful for you guys today. I know it's a challenge to me, and whether you've been married for, a year, 30 years, 50 years, I still think that there's opportunity for us to improve and to get better. And whether it's a spouse or even if it's just your kids, each of your kids is very different. So therefore, they're going to receive love slightly differently, which means we need to be aware of them and make sure that we're expressing love to them in a way that, again, resonates with them. And then with just other people, whether that's our Christian brothers and sisters, or whether it's our neighbors around us, we find ways to love people and express the love of Jesus to them. And ultimately, that is our example, that he first loved us, and therefore we can go and imitate his love towards others. Thanks for being with us Thanks for being with us today, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this lesson. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to leave some comments here. We'll try to monitor those and get back with any questions that you might have. Thanks again.